Okay, well, it's January, and I'd like to start the year off by helping you develop an intentional practice for your higher spirituality and self-realization. This past year, it's been a great year, working with various people, teaching classes. Both the Kriya Yoga online downloadable course, the training course, the 11-hour training course is available. The Yoga Sutras 26-hour course is now available as a download. We finished that last class just a few days ago. And so you've got a nice solid basis with those courses as well as with the free videos on this channel to move forward and make some great strides and progress with your spirituality and with your meditation. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to spend one video a month focusing on a specific theme to help you remain intentional and directed in this process. And these are going to be based on things that just over the years I have realized and noticed are helpful to develop and to cultivate. And any of you who are serious about your inner spiritual work know that for it to give its fruits, its flowers, it does require daily cultivation, surrender, and proper study. So we're going to start with the foundation. And what are the foundations that we want to address for the month of January? There's three things. Number one, we need to be clear on why we are wanting to practice meditation, spirituality. What is it we want to know? What is it we want to be? What drew us to this path? I'd like to encourage you to get a journal for this year. And right now, get your journal out and write down, what is my intention? Why do I want to practice meditation? Where do I see it taking me? Where do I see it going? Because we all have usually some kind of motivation in the beginning, whether it ends up being our final motivation or not, it's irrelevant. But you want to write that down. That way you're clear on where you're starting. Once you know why you're practicing, what the goal is, you're more likely to continue practicing. And I like to encourage you to, at the beginning of every meditation session, because by now you're meditating at least once a day, to think about that intention. Why am I sitting down to do this? What is the intention, the inspiration that's calling me to practice these techniques or this kind of contemplation? Know that, be clear on that. Because just like anything in life, the more specific your intentions are, the more likely you're going to experience those intentions. The more vague or miasmic they are, the more likely you're not. And a lot of people who get involved with spirituality don't really or aren't really clear on their intentions, and they wonder why they don't make any progress or have any kinds of higher realizations, because they don't really have that intention set. So set your intention. What is your intention behind this? And this will change as the months and years go by. The reasons you think you're doing it now may be very different than 12 years from now. But it evolves because we are evolving beings so long as we are involved with this time-space continuum. Number two, for this month, you want to spend some time reflecting on or cultivating the yamas and the niyamas, the universal disciplines and the internal disciplines. And what are they? Well, the universal disciplines are nonviolence, so not harming yourself or others, truthfulness, doing your best to have integrity, to speak the truth, not to be hurtful, but just to be established in truth, knowing what you are, not stealing, conserving your vital forces, which includes conserving your finances, conserving your energy, not being wasteful with your time, non-possessiveness. So we have nonviolence, truth, non-stealing, conservation of vital forces, and non-possessiveness. Also, there are the internal disciplines, which are excellent to put attention towards. Usually a little bit easier. Purity, contentment, intensity in spiritual practice, practicing what you've learned. So if you've studied Kriya Yoga or mantra or self-inquiry, that you put it into play. So in the Yoga Sutras it says practice of learned personal mantras, or that which takes you beyond the mind. And alignment of attention with Ishvara, or the eternal self. And this can often be done through prayer. Prayer to invite God or divine consciousness into your heart, into your mind, into the totality of your being, all of you. And no one is going to be perfect at these things. I don't care who you are. No one's going to be perfect at these things. And you don't want to beat yourself up if you do have a few things within this list that you're not that good at. All that tells you is that that is an area to focus on. And this grows, this becomes stronger within you as you put attention towards it. I was recently reading an article where it discussed how morality and integrity, that sometimes these things just have to be learned. So if you have some issues you need to work through, start acting that way. Start integrating more integrity. Work on your morality. Work on conserving your vital forces. Work on being content inside, developing this purity. And if you've studied the Yoga Sutras, I'm sure you've already gone into this in detail. If you haven't, I would encourage you to find a good book on the Yoga Sutras. My book is Kriya Yoga, Continuing the Lineage of Enlightenment, that has a commentary on the sutras. But essentially, every day, take some time to focus on at least one of these. You don't have to go for them all, but just pick one of the universal disciplines or the internal disciplines and decide, today, I'm going to be content no matter what happens. I'm going to develop this capacity for contentment. If you're working on non-stealing, well, that usually indicates that you feel there's a sense of lack that you have to take from others. You decide, today, I'm just going to give to others. I'm going to give a compliment. I'm going to give money to someone on the street. I'm going to buy someone lunch. Whatever it might be, just focus on one of these every day for the month of January. And if you can do two, that's great. But one at a time. You want to be very realistic about your approach. And you also want to be patient with your approach. If you've gone years and you've had difficulty with contentment because you're anxious, or you've had difficulty with being intense within your spiritual practice because you don't feel like you can focus your mind, you might need to take a self-assessment and say, all right, what can I do? What is the little thing I can do to help get myself on track in this regard? These are all things that you have to figure out for yourself. We can talk about them all we want, but it's when we actually get to the point of trying that we figure out how it works. Just like when you try to ride a bike. Someone can tell you how it's supposed to work, the physics of it, the mechanics of it, but it's not until you get on and start pedaling that you figure out how it works, for better or for worse. Now, the third thing that we want to focus on is assessing your meditation practice itself. You want to take some time to consider the techniques you use. When you do alternate nostril breathing, why do you get distracted? How can you be more intentional and focused? What do you need to do to be more directed inwardly? Maybe you need to practice more prayer, chanting of Om. In the Yoga Sutras, this is one of the ideal practices, the chanting of Om, attuning to Ishvara through Om. Devotion helps to motivate you, give you energy. You want to consider your techniques. Either speak with a spiritual mentor who you learned the techniques from to help give you a little bit of guidance and assistance to understand what you can do to improve. Or, for example, if you've taken the classes, the online classes, well, you can go back and listen to the recordings and perfect what you're doing by re-listening to recordings or even rereading books about techniques. So really assess your meditation practice this month and write down in your journal, here's where my weak points are. Now I'm going to try to figure out a way to overcome them, to be more focused, to be more even surrendered, focused yet surrendered. Focused is that you are holding your attention on one thing. Surrendered is you're letting the process happen. You're not trying to make it happen. You're just doing your part and then letting the universe, the innate intelligence, divine consciousness, God, whatever you call it, to take care of the rest, which makes it more of a sattvic practice. So you want to have surrender in there as well. So devotion helps to motivate you. Proper technique helps you experience superconsciousness more easily. Surrender gives you the capacity for the long-term practice, because this is going to go on for months, years. It's going to go on for the rest of your life. And the more surrendered you can be, that you are actually participating in what we could call the great work, or an inner work that alchemical transformation of your life so that you can know what you are and your relationship to the wholeness of life and God, the divine consciousness. The more surrendered and trusting you can be that you have the information you need right now, and that you are doing the best you can right now, assuming you are, then you're ready for deeper realizations and you're ready for commitment to long-term practice. So this January is about assessing these things. Why are you practicing? Write down your intentions. Why are you doing it? Remember it during every meditation practice. Ask yourself, today, when you wake up, or maybe the night before, maybe that's easier for you, what yama or niyama, what universal or internal discipline am I going to work on? Write it down. That way when you wake up, you can start thinking about it. How can I implement this in my life today? And again, just do one a day, whichever ones you think might need the most work for you. Assess your meditation practice. And this will help you be very honest with yourself and have integrity in regards to how you're moving forward. You'll be engaging the process in a very organic way, as though it's a conversation. And that's exactly what your spiritual practice is. It's not just, here's a formula, plug in the formula, it's all going to work out great. Those of you who've been doing this for a while realize that our consciousness is evolving, changing. And if we try to act the way we did 20 years ago in our spirituality based on those realizations, now we're going to arrest our development. So you want to be fluid with it, and you want to treat this whole process like you are having a conversation with the universe or God, the divine consciousness. So as you go through this month of January, considering these things, doing these things, you'll be at a little bit different understanding in February. And so each one of these themes, lessons, are going to build upon the next one. And this is where we need to start for January. Now, one last thing I would like to encourage you to do for this month. At the end of each of your meditation practices, again, meditating at least once a day, I'd like you to set aside 5 minutes. And in this 5-minute time period, I would like you to have written out an affirmation or a prayer even. Think about your strengths and your weaknesses. What are some strengths you need to build upon? What are some weaknesses you need to improve upon? Maybe it has to do with health. Maybe it has to do with relationships. Maybe it has to do with the receptivity to grace and moving forward along your spiritual path. Whatever it might be, take some time to contemplate that and write down an affirmation. It says, I am now open to this grace. I can see and feel my body strong, enlivened, so that I can live a healthy life, so that I can be of service in this world, so that I can meditate clearly without distractions. Or I like to see myself having supportive relationships and everyone else around me having supportive relationships. So you want to write out this affirmation for you. But at the end of the affirmation, you also want to make it for everyone around you. Therefore, it's not just yours alone. It's influencing the entire collective consciousness. And at the end of every meditation, get a timer out. Everyone has a phone nowadays. Set the timer for 5 minutes. And focus on, imagine, what would it be like if I could feel this true for me right now? And read it from your journal. Read it over. Read it out loud. Read it internally. Think about it. How can I experience this? And just wonder, without frustration, without anxiety, just wondering. And in the last 2 to 3 minutes, start thinking about everyone else. How can other people experience this? How can other people experience this in their life? And see them finding their own way to good health, to good relationships, to higher spirituality. It's not for you to meddle. You're not trying to figure out for them how they can do it, but it's to see them and to have that intention that that capacity is there, that grace, that divine support, that innate intelligence of the world around them. So, this is your homework for the month of January. And also, if you need additional support on your meditation path, I have set up one group meditation, an online meditation, a webinar, every month. It'll be about an hour in length. And if you go to, again, AshevilleVedicAstrology.com, go to the Learn Kriya Yoga tab, and scroll about 2/3 of the way down the page, you'll see a listing for online monthly meditation groups. And capacity is limited, so I'm going to do my best to allow as many of you who want to participate as possible. And if it gets more than I can handle with the service I use, I'll try to find a different service. But for now, we'll do our best there. So you want to go to that website, astralvedicastrology.com, scroll down and see if the dates and the times work for you. Again, I've got the dates there, the times, and there's one listed every month. And there's also a listing of how to participate. Okay, so enjoy the new year. Start your life intentionally for 2015. And if this is not 2015, we're beyond that, whatever year it is. And I look forward to seeing you in the meditations. So thank you very much.